Hi everyone, Ms.R here, and it's Conversations as Raiders Thrive, and we're here with Miss Dawson and Mr. Asiyama. And as we always do, we do a little check-in and see how we're all doing. So how is everyone doing? How was the last week or two?
I mean, I'm okay. Just really sad that I don't get to see all the students, but I'm still holding up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last week is always usually like a exciting week as we head into the summer, but I'm not quite feeling, well, I'm looking forward to some relaxation. It's been quite a busy couple of months for me returning to work in April, and almost like a sense of relief, right? A break is in sight.
Yes, we've been on. It's been an interesting 3 months. And I'm feeling it this week where the break, but I feel like the adrenaline has been in high gear for a lot of us. One, just coping with the lockdown and the virus, right? We're nervous about catching it, or some of us are nervous about catching it, so we stay inside and then dealing with being locked in. And then the adrenaline's in high gear because as educators, we've had to just switch our skill set and learn a whole new skill set with online stuff. And then how do we follow kids? How do we prevent certain students from falling through the cracks because we can't see them? We can't, I'm not going to show up at their house and say, hey, are you out of bed? So and for a lot of our staff and a lot of people, they're also full-time parents. You're with your families 24/7. So you're full-time parenting, full-time teaching or educating, and dealing with the virus and all that brings in the lockdown. So I feel like a break, that relief that you mentioned, Neely, Yeah. So, Neely, your mic is off.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I here? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, something that I heard a student and a teacher mention is talking about how do we give ourselves closure when there is no closure? The usual events that tell us that the year is over and winding down is, exams, exam review day, the review, all those events that happen in the year, the graduation events. So those aren't happening. So how do we give ourselves closure? And of course, I'm also thinking about those of us in our communities who have had people die because of COVID-19 or just die. And we can't.
Or been more negatively affected by all the things that have been going on. Yep.
So how do we give ourselves closure when we can't get together and have a funeral or mourn together? So we're going to mention some stuff about how do we close the year and then how do we still stay positive despite all the disappointment we've been experiencing. So some tips for closure, which I can personally attest to, is when you need closure when someone has died, write a letter to that person and then tuck it away. And then I've burned it safely, of course, whether it was someone's fireplace or an outdoor fire pit. But when the timing was right and I was ready to let go of that letter, I would burn it in that fire pit. Do you guys have any other suggestions for closure, especially with someone who has died?
I think for me, I would recommend definitely connecting with family members and being able to, go through the whole process with them and grieve and being able to, share and talk and, really experience the good moments that you have and, being able to just even feel the presence of family around you. So I think that's always something that's a great strategy, just to really connect with the people who are also being affected and are connected to just the occurrence that has happened, and also your friend group, like your support system that you have.
Yeah,
I think this is a very unique kind of time, right? And there's a lot of things that we aren't able to do that naturally we would want to do or naturally we were able to do before. Kind of a different view on things I'm taking is creating like a journal And whether it's a gratitude journal or whether it's a like a journal where we can kind of reflect on the past 3 months or even the past school year, and just kind of checking in with our feelings and checking in with how things are going and how we're coping.
Yeah, those are all good. Another idea that came up is for those who scrapbook, or you don't have to scrapbook, or you get one of those shadow boxes. If someone has died and you can't really go to the funeral or go to the cemetery or whatever, put a shadow box together, or a frame, or a scrapbooking page together of that person and those moments that have mattered to you. Pictures, mementos, things like that, or just gather them and put them in a little box, and that's your box where you remember that person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for that. Closure for the year, saying thank you to any staff members who have impacted you in some way, and a nod to the grade 12s if you're watching this. And that could be any staff member from the time you entered in grade 9 to the time that you're graduating. It could have been an encounter with Mr. Asiyama, or the custodian, or the attendance secretary, Miss Wilson, or Mrs. Moore, or Miss Caroluck, or the principal, or a VP, or your teachers, anybody. Just to say thank you, to acknowledge that you're now ending this year. This person's impacted you. You're letting them know, and it's a way of also letting go and honoring of what this past year or the past 4 years have meant to you.
Mm-hmm. And I think a great thing is, as students move on to their next stages of their life, that's places that we've already been on, but naturally you still have access to us. So if ever you want to come back and visit, this is also very special and unique circumstances. So do reach out to us. You have our emails. We would love to hear from you. We would love to just receive updates, because that's what makes our job even much more special, when we hear from you and how great you're doing in the community. So if you have ever have any questions, definitely do reach out, because that's what we're here for.
Funny, on last Thursday when the grade 12s were coming to get their grad boxes, so many of them were like, yeah, this isn't the way we want to say goodbye. We're going to be back to visit for sure. And I'm like, please do. I want to hear, how life has, your adventures and what's happened and what you've learned. And yeah, so I think a lot of them will be coming back once the school kind of reopens, whenever that will be.
And that would be amazing. That would be amazing. We look forward to that.
Yeah. So the other part of our show today is not only giving closure, but how do we deal with the disappointments that we've experienced? Okay, the year did not go the way we wanted to. But a way to deal with that disappointments would be gratitude. And this is kind of piggybacking what Mr. Asiyama and Ms. Dawson have already said, and giving thanks. So how do we be grateful?
You know what? I think one of it is just coming back to visit, as we just said. Come back and let us see you. So don't even feel like that. For me, when I see a student that remembers, and a moment that we shared, I think that's all part of that journey. But being, gratitude is all about, finding things that you're thankful for, moments, experiences, people that you appreciate, things that you really see in your life have really contributed, and you hold on to, and you actually put value to it. I think especially during this time when there's so much negativity, and it's just, we're feeling, very heavy in terms of our lives, things that we want to have, things that we don't have. I think it's super important if we're able to find things that have remained consistent. And even during this time, there's been some people, there's been individuals that have been consistent in all our lives, things that we still have so much, like our health, that's something that if you have that today, actually look and be happy that you have it. So as Ms. Dawson was saying, you could have a journal that you're doing this in, or you could just have it as your daily practice. It's something I know I use every day, because if not, I would definitely have been more significantly affected by everything that's going on. But it's actually a practice, like being grateful and exercising gratitude is it's so important right now, especially during times like this.
It's a practice we have to do intentionally.
Yes, it's not easy. It's not easy sometimes, right? Especially when I found myself about halfway through the last 3 months, I was really negative about everything. Everything was like, this is hard, this is new, this is tough, how am I going to do this? And then I tried to intentionally change that around and to try and think of, okay, what is something, today was tough, but what is something that I'm grateful for, and what is something that perhaps I wouldn't have experienced in this way had I not been given this journey, right? So for me, one of the things was I was able to see my son's first steps, because I guarantee you he would have done that at daycare had I not been home.
Excellent. That is a gift.
Something little, but, well, not little, that's kind of big, but.
Yeah.
So pretty much you're saying that the journey or the experience or the challenge that we've been put in, actually, you know, through that you found things that actually you're grateful for, you know? So yeah, I think that's very important, just to know that you could find actually a lot of pleasure and, you know, growth and just, you know, happiness in our current circumstance too.
I think there's, as difficult as this has been, look what the three of us have started, right?
Exactly.
These videos, which,
exactly.
You know, maybe we wouldn't have done, but the three of us together, I think this is pretty powerful for our school community, to see the three of us in conversation with the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the psychological, all that working together to support the whole person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just touch upon I won't share a lot of details, but I remember there was a time in my life where I just, deep down, I was focusing on what I didn't have. And I would go to church on Sunday, kind of hating that I didn't have what I had expected to have. And I would see families at church and babies, you know, baptisms and stuff. And I was still single, and it was really, really tough. But I was able, you know, the prayer before Mass started, I would kneel there and I'd pray, you know, getting ready for Mass. And I was still able to say thank you to God. I mean, I don't know how, but so I think no matter how difficult life can get, we can still give thanks, because there was still a lot of good in my life. And as difficult as things are, yes, life is really difficult for some of us, more so than others, but you still have us. There's still, I'm pretty sure there's still some teachers or some people in your life that believe in you. Maybe you have a part-time job. Okay, maybe you might hate it, but you have a part-time job. It's giving you some sort of income for now. You know,
well,
so,
and I really appreciate you sharing that, because that shared experience is something I actually experienced similar things, in terms of just, you know, it's so easy to focus on what you don't have, you know, and why does the mind do that? We don't know, right? But this is why you actually have to practice gratitude, because the mind automatically goes to the negative. Yeah.
exactly. So it is important to still recognize there's reason to be thankful, whether you have one friend or 5 friends or 20 friends. Are they quality friends?
That's
Do you
it.
have a family member who still believes in you? I have a hard time believing that there's someone who has nothing, because even you know, in the most horrible of circumstances, there are people who still gravitate and create a sense of community. So they're still yeah, gratitude does change the perspective, changes the outlook. And you know, the experts say, and students, you know, might get sick of me saying this, but they've done that 2-week study, and it changed people's outlook over, if they did a gratitude journal, you write 3 to 5 things at the end of the day or every day, whenever, and for 2 weeks straight, it actually changes your outlook. Participants said they felt more optimistic, more hopeful. Gratitude boosts the immune system, because if you're always focused on the negative, that causes stress. The cortisol will be released, and that's not good for the body. So
That's it.
gratitude is good for the body, good for the mind, good for the soul.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, so let's really get active in being grateful and actually experiencing, you know, that positivity every day, you know, because if you start your day with it and end with it, I think you're really touching on a very special process that you're starting in your life that's going to help you, you know, really block out all the negativity that's going on. So there's an abundance of it right now in the community, we're all going through global pandemic, economic uncertainties. We're going through a social justice movement. So really, you have to also stay very focused and find things that, really pump you up.
And I will encourage what the experts say to be specific with what you're grateful for. So on that note, I think we should end by sharing three to five things that we're each grateful for, but let's be specific. I've read some stuff where we could say, oh, we're grateful for family, for, whatever, but let's be specific, because that's where it really, really has an effect. So I'll go last.
So I'll go first. I'm specific in being specific. I'm very grateful for, the staff that I work with at STA, the ones that are leaving especially. So we have Ms. Bonsu, we have Ms. Dawson,
Almeida,
Ms. Almeida, and everybody else. If we're not mentioning you, I'm very grateful for, being able to work with you. So being specific again, I'm grateful for even, just how certain staff members, Ms.R, you're one of them, we have Mr. Peruzin, Ms. Serafin, Mr. McDougall, and just really being aggressive in terms of us getting on point with this whole COVID-19 experience. It made life very easy for all of us that are also staff within our schools. I'm very grateful for, my brothers that I have right now, both my younger and my older brother, who continue to check in, and we do our weekly check-ins every single day. Every single week we have our weekly FaceTime,
Nice.
And really, I'm grateful. I think just for myself, I'm a fighter. So I'm happy that I'm fighting every single day just to really kind of get up and, get things done and continue to persevere. So that's what I'm grateful for.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Dawson? Oh, your mic's off.
See, working with children, mic is off. There we go. I'm one of the things I have actually been very grateful for is the fact that even though working full time and two very young, active children full time, it's been a handful. It's been stressful. It's been tiring and exhausting. And at times I'm just like thinking, I don't think I can get through one more day like this. I am very grateful that I have had this extra time with both of them who, would have been at daycare and school had I not been home. I am so super grateful for the two of you. And that's because I'm coming from elementary. This is my first high school experience, my first virtual experience, just like all of us. And it was like we had our little community of people. And that's something very special because you don't always get that. Even when you're in the schools, like physically with people, you don't always get that. So for that, I am very grateful. And I think the third thing I would be grateful for is like my health and the health of my family and just being confident and safe and secure and that we're all doing well and things could be much worse.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I will echo what you both have said. I'm so grateful for the two of you to be this collaborative and this, here's an idea, let's do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love the openness that we have. I'm grateful for the wonderful staff who, like Miss McIntosh and Miss Seraphim and Miss Moore or Miss Wilson, who will email us and say, hey, there's someone that needs to be on our radar, or, this is something we should pay attention to. So I just love how collaborative the staff are and how they advocate for our students and for each other. On a personal note, I'm grateful for this time. I don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like. But it's been nice to have my husband home, and we've been knocking off some house chores. So on the weekend, we replaced the range hood together.
Wow.
And it's kind of a big job, but it's straightforward, but it's easy. So we're doing like different stuff around the house that I don't know if we would have had energy for had we both be working outside the home.
That's it.
And I love the space I have downstairs because I worked on a puzzle and I finished it yesterday. So I share these strategies, but I don't always do them.
That's it.
So I've colored, we encourage kids to color. So I color, I did a puzzle, I do exercise, not as much, but so I'm thankful that I have the opportunity that I can share this, help our students with strategies, but I can learn what it's like to do those things. And I really want to encourage anyone to do a puzzle. It's it can be overwhelming. I had a 500-piece puzzle. I think I started it Friday night, Thursday night, and I finished it last night. And it's just, anyway, I'm on a puzzle kick right now.
Such a sense of accomplishment, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm not ready to move on to the next activity because it took me a lot of time. I don't want to break up that puzzle. So yeah, those are, and I'm thankful for my brother who, with the household stuff that we do, my brother's got a lot of tools, so I don't have to go buy them. I just text them, hey, do you have this? Oh, can I borrow it? Yeah. So take a page from our book, be specific. By being grateful, it's also honoring who these people are in our lives and these gifts that we have.
That's it.
So that concludes our show for this year. For this pandemic time, who knows what September will bring? Maybe we resurrect these in September. But until then, have a safe summer.
That's it.
Take care of yourselves. And to reiterate what Mr. Asiama said, we are still available. So if you need some support over the summer, we are an email away.
That's it. Please do so.
Please do so. You do not have to go through what you're going through alone. We're here to help. And, a text or an email is really easy to do. All right. So you guys have a safe summer. Ms. Dawson, blessings on, your schools in Burlington next year.
Thank you.
We'll miss you. It was a fun experience during the pandemic.
Certainly was.
When I look back on this time, you will be a feature and a fixture of my memories.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Asiama, I'll see you.
I'll see you on Friday. We'll be on Thursday. Thursday, we have the staff meeting, so we'll be on.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Be safe.
Right. Thank you.